Well, in the words of that great early 2000s rock band Stained, it's been a while since the three of us were together in one location. We've had a lot of stuff going on throughout the month of September, weddings and reunions and birthdays and all that. But the stars have aligned, the planets are all in formation, and the Reverend of the Rant, the intellectual savior of the wrestling masses, and the Big Don of Wrestling with Egos have joined forces once again to bring you that lean, mean, wrestle talking machine known as Wrestling with Egos. A lot's been going on. Some of it we're happy about. Some of it we are frustrated beyond belief about. And some of it we're just not going to spend any time reacting to because it doesn't really register on what's important to talk about. But we're going to break it all down. I am Brian. I am your intellectual savior of the wrestling masses, joined by my greatest friends, Patrick, the Reverend of the Rant, Isaac, the Big Don. Gentlemen, how goes it? What's going on?
It is a wonderful evening in the house of anxiety here, in the house of intensity and frustration and anger, because I am not only the Reverend of the Rant and the pastor of Pissed Off, but I am the Archbishop of Anxiety, because as we speak, in 1 hour, LSU and Auburn are playing, and it's going to go one of two ways. Either we're going to kick the crap out of them, or it's going to be a real long night for your boy. So blessed be the oh my God game.
Look, I'm good. I'm ready. Let's do this. I've had a crazy week. Had a crazy week last week. Got enough going on. Let's get to this. Let's go.
So here's what we're talking about tonight, boys and girls. We're going to lead off with a little bit of a rant mode on. Then we're going to transition into Extreme Rules. Then we're going to get into what's been going on with the WWE draft. And then Brian's got a little something he's going to spring on us at the very end. So,
I felt the draft. That's why I put the poll over on. I was,
any questions, boys and girls?
Isaac, you were wondering if we were going to talk about something. I remember from the pre-show meeting.
Yeah. Are we gonna bring up Crown Jewel?
No, because we don't talk about blood money here.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. My bad.
Let's rock and roll, boys and girls.
Get off the list.
So let me begin by uttering my catchphrase. Rant mode on. Boys, we got to talk about y'all's last show, which, by the way, phenomenal show on the GOAT discussion on one Trish Stratus. However, as the not-so-great philosopher Stephen A. Smith would say, however, I wholeheartedly disagree with a couple of your points. Mainly, both of you guys in agreement that she is not the greatest of all time. You guys both, from my perspective, put Moolah ahead of her. I understand your opinion. I don't agree with it. And since I could not be a party to our last show, I need to get this out in the open to conclude the discussion. Trish Stratus is the greatest of all time. Not because she held the title for 20 some odd years. By the way, Moolah didn't defend it for 18. But we're not going to talk about. Nobody ever discusses that. It's just, oh, she held the title for so long. Really? Not defending it does not constitute holding it. It was stagnant. It was Mount Vesuvius. Stratus has meant more to women's wrestling than any woman in the history of women's wrestling. She's meant more than Moolah. She's meant more than Mae Young, who were, pioneers of women's wrestling, but did not have the social or gender impact that either one of them did. Wrestlers of the 80s and 90s, your Sensational Sherri, your Medusas, your Rockin' Robins, Leilani Kai, Wendy Richter. That's about all I can name. Not while some of them might have listed Moolah as a reference, they all appear on the Dark Side of the Ring episode that exposed Moolah for the piece of crap that she was. So yeah, she was influenced. They were influenced by Moolah in more ways than one. Trish inspired everyone that we see today. Without Trish and Lita and Mickie James and Gail Kim, my opinion, the four real pillars of women's wrestling in the Divas era. And yeah, you can throw Natty and Beth Phoenix in there as well because they actually were wrestlers. But without Trish, we wouldn't have Charlotte. We wouldn't have Becky. We wouldn't have Bayley. We would Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, Bayley. We wouldn't have Britt Baker. We wouldn't have Thunder Rosa. We wouldn't have, hell, everybody in NXT. We would not have women's wrestling as we have now. Trish Stratus, because one, she worked her ass off in the ring and learned how to do her craft, and number two, was beautiful, got more eyes on the product, and then when they were watching the product, they realized, oh crap, this girl can go. And then it proved that you could be not only attractive, but also be a legitimate professional wrestler. And because of that, her marketability, her looks, everything, the WWE machine becoming what it was in the 90s, without that, we do not have the women's evolution/revolution that we have now. She's the NWO. She's the Horseman. Without her, there is no blank. Rant mode off.
Quick thing. Now, I agree with most of what you said, but I also want to interject something really, really quick. Now, there wasn't without Moolah specifically, putting whatever we want to talk the women's division, everything on her back. TV wasn't the same that it was when Moolah was wrestling. They didn't have the primetime shows that they had then. There wasn't everything as what it was.
Harley Race either.
True. But what I'm saying is it was back in the day of the Harley races of, when Ric Flair first started until around WrestleMania 1, there wasn't the media, there wasn't the amount of advertisements, TV shows, unless you were catching it 10 o'clock.
I don't get it, man. I don't see where you're going.
She had a better chance because she had TV. She had better opportunities because it was different. It wasn't the same as it was when Moolah was wrestling.
All right. Sorry, your argument's invalid, and here's why. You can say that literally about every single professional wrestler since 1985. Every one of them, including Barry Horowitz, including Iron Mike Sharp, sorry, Brian, including Simon freaking Dean. All of them had more opportunities than Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk Jr., hell, Terry Funk, Superstar Billy Graham, Buddy Rogers, Moolah, Mae Young. They all had more opportunities than any of them because of the era in which they were born. I'm not talking about what they had to work with. I'm talking about their influence. Without Trish, there's no Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, Bayley, Britt, Rosa, Tegan Knox, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai. The list goes on and on. We do not have what we have without her. Just like we do not have wrestling the way it is now without three simple letters NWO. Sorry, Horseman. Sorry, Heenan family. As much of an impact as you had, We talk about the great timeline of wrestling. That moment gets a big, gigantic gold push pin, because without that, the rest, what follows that timeline, maybe doesn't happen. And that is why that is why I cannot be convinced otherwise. Trish Stratus is the greatest of all time.
And I see where y'all are coming from on that. I mean, and this is why we've got, you know, this GOAT discussion, because we're not always going to be in lockstep with each other. As I recall it going, I was reserving judgment on, you know, our Moolah and Trish on the same level as Trish, just because I get all the and I think I said this in the episode too. I get all the controversy that's come to light now surrounding Moolah and how she held people down, and you know,
we're not move on. We're not going.
Yeah. But the record, you know, is what it is, regardless of how she got there, I think. And I think that's why I was, you know, I couldn't quite put one ahead of the other at that point. But Patrick, I totally get where you're coming from. In terms of people who she's influenced, I mean, the list of people that Trish has influenced is miles longer than the list of people that Moolah's influenced.
You know what? I got an idea. Let's let the audience decide. Tweet us at the show, Wrestling X Egos. Let us know what you think. Who is the greatest of all time? Moolah, Trish, other. There's your three choices. If you say other, make sure you reply and further your case. Otherwise, the vote is invalid. The poll will be up on Twitter once the show goes live. Guys, let's get into this little tiny pay-per-view they had on Sunday called Extreme Rules, emanating from the capital city of this great state, Ohio. The attendance, ladies and gentlemen, let me see. The attendance was 13,452 people, not counting me, my wife, and Squishy. We took the 12-year-old to her very first wrestling show. No pictures will be posted to the family because of privacy. Sorry. But you will be seeing some pictures. You might have saw a video to start the show. It depends on if I was able to work some magic or not. I had an idea. So if it worked, you'll already know. But had an amazing show, amazing seats. Shout out to my wife for pulling that one off on very short notice. But as we talk about the show, I'll give a little bit of perspective from inside the arena, because how some of the matches translated on TV, it was a completely different story inside Nationwide Arena in Columbus. So let's go ahead. I'll just jump us off and let's just start. You know, we'll skip the opening match of Liv and Carmella because it's Liv and Carmella. I will say this: Carmella came out to crickets.
Yeah. And unless you think it's necessary, we do not have to talk about every match, because in my opinion, I'm trying to remember all the stuff that went down. In my opinion, there's 3 matches that are worth talking about. 4. Okay. I would like to talk about Priest versus Sheamus versus Hardy for a brief moment, because I might have an unpopular opinion coming up on those guys.
Okay.
I want to talk about Charlotte versus Alexa.
Yes.
And shocker, I want to get my pound of flesh on Roman Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor.
We're talking about Becky and Bianca as well.
Okay, yes, Becky and Bianca. I know that, you know, we're not gonna, you know, go into grave detail like we do on some other stuff, but
no,
you can start wherever you want, since you were there.
We're gonna save the grave detail for the main event, because that's where it really got fun. But we definitely want to talk about Charlotte defeating Alexa Bliss in 11 minutes and 25 seconds. I loved that match, and here's why. Alexa wrestled.
Yes.
It wasn't doing a lot of her voodoo whammy bammy bullshit. Alexa worked. And when Alexa works, Alexa proves that she is one of the most underrated in-ring performers of this generation, because everybody looks at her and was, oh, well, she didn't do much in NXT. She only got pushed once she got to the main roster. And guess what? Once they started pushing her, she started putting out bangers. And her and Charlotte delivered an amazing match. Was not a fan of Alexa going over, but we learned that wasn't a fan of Alexa losing, but we learned that they did it to write her off TV. She's having sinus surgery. Cool. Charlotte is becoming a nuclear heat magnet, and I love it. Love it.
I feel like this is an opportunity, because I wondered if, knowing what I know now about Alexa, it makes a little bit more sense. But as the match was happening, I wondered if they were finally going to go there with Alexa and reward her for doing an admirable job of picking up the pieces from Bray leaving. And now you got this character that you don't know, is it going to work apart from Bray Wyatt? Is it going to work apart from The Fiend and the mind games and all that kind of stuff? And the stuff with Eva Marie and Doudrop was a nice little appetizer, right? It was fine for what it was, a filler feud on TV.
Right.
Now you're going into deep water with Charlotte, who's unquestionably one of the best in the game as far as in-ring acumen goes.
That's another discussion for later down the line, boys and girls.
Yes. Is it going to be, a supernatural type match? Are you going to play mind games with Charlotte? Or are you just going to put her to work? And Alexa decided, I'll have a little itty bitty mind games, but I'm going to wrestle the woman. Yeah. Because in my opinion, nobody does that with Charlotte that much.
Well, you got
certain people do, but a lot of people don't.
People do that with Charlotte, but the problem is the people that do that with Charlotte are either A, injured, or B, on SmackDown.
Right.
There's nobody on Raw that's active because Asuka's out. There's no, and they for some reason will not push Shayna Baszler at all. There's
I don't understand that at all.
Work with. I mean, yeah, Nikki Cross. I'm not calling her Nikki ASH. Nikki Cross is really good. She just finished with Rhea. Her only other option was Alexa or Nia Jax, or God help us all, Eva Marie. Barf. Pickings are slim in the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Then again, for the most part, pickings are slim across the board on Monday Night Raw.
True.
Agree.
So, I was glad to see Charlotte actually get a legit match out of somebody, not named Rhea Ripley. It was awesome. Isaac, your thoughts before we move on, or do you just want to move on?
I just want to move on. There was nothing really that I saw. I understand why they did what they did. I get it. But I was getting really getting stale on just Charlotte.
Well,
but
again, what else are they going to do? It's like, let's say there's 20 women on Monday Night Raw's women's roster. It's Charlotte and 19 pips. Okay, there's Charlotte, there's Rhea, there's Alexa, there's Nikki, and the rest are pips. That's about it, man. Come on. So let's.
I would have said Temptations, but.
Say what?
I would have said Temptations, but let's not go there. Potato.
Let's move on to an absolute ass whooper of a match. We had Damian Priest successfully defending the U.S. title against Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Whew. First off, Nurse Rant Mode on and I caught an NXT show right before COVID hit, and we saw Damian Priest as the no, it wasn't. No, he wasn't champ. And Damian Priest is a big son of a gun. Seeing Sheamus, which I had never seen live, by the way, seeing Sheamus next to Damian Priest, I got a whole new appreciation for Sheamus. Son of a gun, that dude is huge. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Sheamus, although he's had some had a few clunkers, but then again, who hasn't? Sheamus might be one of the most underappreciated wrestlers of the last 10 years. He's never going to give you a 5-star classic, but more often than not, his matches don't suck.
See, and here comes that unpopular opinion alert that I was alluding to.
Okay, sure.
This was one of the matches, and we can agree to disagree because I know you were there, and you were telling me when we were talking about it during the week how, things are going to be different live versus on TV. Things are going to hit different live than they do when you're watching them on TV. And maybe this is because of the herky-jerky nature of the production crew and Kevin Dunn and all those people that want the camera cuts, 67 times in a minute and stuff like that. But I thought this match was clunky. I've thought this about Damian Priest. Yes, he can be smooth, and yes, he can be effortless, but he, he misses some spots sometimes. And I don't know if it's just more noticeable with him because of his height or what. And then I've done this before on this show, and I'm sorry to keep beating a dead horse, but man, it's time for Jeff Hardy to hang it up. I know he reached deep down inside of himself and found another gear in this match, but the times he does that are fewer and far between.
Yeah.
And for me, those were the notes that just made this match just kind of miss the mark for me. I agree with you on Sheamus because we've all brought this up before, how sneaky good and underrated Sheamus is.
Right.
You might not like the presentation sometimes. You might not like the fact that he always winds up in the title picture when you don't want him to, and so on and so forth. But this was a match that for me just kind of missed the mark. And maybe I would have felt differently if I was live. But for me, it didn't work.
I'm not going to argue with you that the match was or was not clunky. It totally was. My opinion, it was clunky more because of Hardy than anything else. Because you saw the very next night, Priest and Sheamus had a no DQ match, and they beat the piss out of each other, and it was glorious. Common denominator. What wasn't in that match, and wasn't the one on Sunday? Hardy.
Yeah.
Because Damian Priest and Sheamus had a flow that they had to disrupt so Jeff Hardy could be a factor in the match. Jeff Hardy didn't work for me, brother.
And I think you're seeing this with, and there's some uproar about the fact that Matt Hardy is in the ladder match. It's going to be on Dynamite this week, and everybody's up in arms about that. I mean, I get why they're including him, but at the same time, it's just like both of them need to start seriously. And I said this a couple months ago. You seriously need to start thinking about transitioning out of a full-time career in the ring. I know they're marketable. I know they move merchandise. I know the kids love them, both of them, and stuff like that.
Matt Hardy, in my opinion, is more relevant right now than Jeff is because Matt has changed his style a lot more to be a lot better suited for him now. Jeff hasn't. Jeff is still trying to work like it's 1999. Which
isn't going to work.
No.
I mean, you could argue that Matt is trying to make himself relevant too. He's got a stable. He's got people who are learning from him. He's got Private Party, and he's got the Butcher and the Blade, and he's got Bunny, and he's got all that. Ostensibly they're learning from him. Whereas, like you say, Jeff is still trying to ride the lightning like it's 2000 and catch time in a bottle.
Right. Matt, for lack of a better term, is MVP with the Hurt Business. He can still work, but he's also got his other thing on the side. and that totally works. Isaac, you were gonna say something.
I was gonna say that, even though Jeff Hardy's his contract's about to be up, and yes, his contract was extended over the little bit. I don't want to see him go back to irrelevancy where he's chasing after the 24/7 championship, because that was just downright disrespectful to Jeff Hardy. I know that he needs to sort of start trying to hang it up, but I don't want him to go back down that route at all. That was wrong, period. They should find something else for him to do, or have him switch to a manager role or something, but not do this anymore. I don't know what else he can do, but don't do that.
Jeff Hardy cannot be a manager. It is about as believable as the Great Khali being a manager. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it really does.
Move on. Becky and Bianca. Becky, double DQ. We got some outside interference from Sasha. Okay, ending, whatever. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about something else. Gentlemen, I am assuming that you both watched it live as it was happening.
Yes.
Good assumption. Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. During that match, as the fans are chanting, and there's the dueling chant of "Let's go Becky EST," how loud were the chants for each of them? So who would you say the crowd was more in favor of, and by how much? From what you heard on TV. Don't change your answer, because I'm asking this question. Use your ears and your brain.
It seemed to me, if not 50-50, I was led to believe by the production value that Bianca had slightly more people cheering for her. It wasn't by much.
I'm going to agree with Brian on that one, because I thought it was about 50-50.
I will play some video here in just a moment, so everybody else, because we had an usher that was yelling at everybody for recording at the ring. I pointed it that way at the crowd during these chants, so you guys can hear it. But first, let me say to you, gentlemen, wrong. Roll the footage.
Let's go, Becky!
So there you have it, guys. From inside the arena, the "Let's Go Becky" was significantly more than EST. There wasn't a 50-50. There might be an 80-20. Becky's heel turn ain't working. Becky's heel turn is going over about as well as Austin's heel turn.
I was just about to ask you what you think that means. Now, personally, what I think it means is that the Bianca Belair character is pretty close to being dead in the water in its present construction.
No, because here's what's going to happen, and foreshadowing alert, something's going to happen with Becky in the very near future. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes. That's all I got on that one. So let's go ahead and talk turkey, because it was a hell of a main event between Roman Reigns and the Demon in an Extreme Rules match. In case you missed it, during the match, the Usos got involved after the Demon hits the coup de grace. 1, 2, they pull him out of the ring, and now we got a big old schmoz. Long story short, Usos are laid out. Roman spears Finn through the barricade. They're both laid out. Lights go out, everything turns red, and you start hearing the Demon's heartbeat. And then you hear the breath, like from the beginning of the entrance. And with the red light still on, the Demon rises to his feet and starts beating the piss out of anybody with a pulse. Just start beating the crap out of Roman. I mean, it beat him like he called his mama a name. hits it, throws him in the drop kicks him. The John Woo drop kick sends Roman flying through a table. He picks him up, throws him in the ring, goes up top for the coup de grace, and the top rope breaks. One of the weirdest damn things ever. And there is footage online that shows Finn was in. All right, so here's your ring. Finn was in this corner. There was a cameraman in this corner here that hopped up on the apron and had bolt cutters or something and cut something in that corner, and the whole thing fell. That's how they did it. There's the magic of Hollywood, boys and girls. But it was that, and it was a very unpopular finish. Brian's going to go on a very fan-induced rant on that in just a second. And I don't blame him, because I had the same one as probably had a similar one on Sunday. But before I hand it over to you, I've got 3 more words. I'm sorry, 4. But I get it. Pete, go.
Should I go first instead of him and let him go last?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Brian, but we all know where Brian's going with this.
You totally have a point. We need to save that for last.
Okay, I agree with you, Patrick. I get it, but I don't want to get it. Was I mad that they brought the Demon character out of retirement just to beat him one more to the head of the table? Yes, I'm mad about that. Don't use him in that manner. And the fact being that they're still hyping Roman up as to no one can ever beat him. Unless they're getting ready to do Seth Rollins after the fact that he gets over his thing with Edge and blah, 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 blah. Did I get mad about it? Yeah, it was kind of bad. The finish was horrible. They shouldn't have done it. But you know what? I don't know what the end game is. It's whack. That's all I gotta say. B,
Hit it.
Get it.
Up until the finish, I was actually just kind of sitting on the couch. I had the little bag of potato chips and whatnot, and I was just kind of, wiping my mouth off with a napkin, and it was, okay, yeah, Roman's going to win somehow. And when all the stuff on the outside happened and the lights turned red, it caught my attention. Like, I put the potato chip bag down for a moment, and I'm like, this is different. And then the convulsing happened. And then, Finn's version of a nip-up happened. And I literally walked across my living room and got about 4 feet away from the television and got down in that Urban Meyer stance with my knees, my hands on my knees. And I'm like, well, this obviously means they're pulling the trigger on this. Obviously, because you don't do all of this, something they've never done before, if this isn't the payoff. Usos go flying. Paul Heyman is heading for the hills, and Roman's overwhelmed and all this stuff. And when the rope broke, I stood up straight, and my shoulders sank, and I saw the 3 count. And what I did was I walked back over and I sat back down and I picked my phone up. And the guys can attest to this. I found a GIF. I typed break stuff into the GIF finder, and I found the GIF of Quentin Rampage Jackson annihilating a door backstage at some UFC
season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Okay,
I remember that. Yeah.
And I sent that along to everybody, and as everybody was consoling me and stuff like that. My take on this is going to surprise you. Was I pissed? Yes, because I sent that GIF, and I really wanted to find something to break, but I didn't want to have to explain it to the Lovebird the following morning. I don't like it, but for once in my life, I crawled inside the head of the audience of one and thought like he did. Roman Reigns is his golden goose right now, and he's got his other golden goose as a free agent with the ponytail and the mohawk and the beard and the lumberjack shirt. And it seems like those are the only chess pieces he cares about. Maybe he cares about Goldberg on occasion. My feelings don't matter. And I felt to myself, why do I let these guys get me so worked up about this? Why do I always seem to back the wrong horse? And then
keep going. Go.
And then I tuned into Dynamite on Wednesday night and found myself just utterly compelled by everything they were doing. And I'm like, they're hitting all the right notes. I mean, Sammy Guevara won, the TNT championship for Miro and all this stuff. And I was just like, this is what it's come to now. I shouldn't get my hopes up because I'm not going to run the litany of names off that their hopes get dashed and they're being used incorrectly. But I kind of ran the white flag up the pole Sunday night, guys. And
okay, I'm stopping you there, and here's why. And B, I am sorry for what I'm about to do. Please, in advance, forgive me. Oh my gosh, my favorites aren't winning. I'm going to watch AEW because all the faces win there. WWE has all the heels winning, and I don't like that. That's what a lot of fans are doing because they don't like Roman and they don't like Charlotte. Why? Because they are the golden gooses, as Brian said. Here's the thing. They're both amazing at what they do. And as far as Roman is concerned, Roman is the best thing that Vince McMahon has at his disposal right now, at least for a couple of months until they decide to call Braun Breaker up from NXT, because son of a bitch, they're going to push the Steiner kid like there's no freaking tomorrow. Deservedly so, too. If you haven't watched NXT, that kid's good. Sounds just like his Uncle Scott, too. It's kind of scary. Anyway, back to what I was saying. As much as I love Finn Balor, as much as I am a huge fan, I bought the new damn t-shirt at the show. I get it because it's Roman at his absolute. The bloodline is the best thing he has ever been a part of. Yes, I mean better than the freaking Shield. Because Roman is developing a character in the bloodline, not just in the Shield. Roman is the best television character in wrestling today. Period. End of freaking story. I've been saying this for months, and they're booking him as such. I don't care who he's in the ring with. Bobby Lashley, Big E, Drew McIntyre, Kenny Omega. I don't care. At this point, if you're looking at that product, not just professional wrestling, if you're looking at sports entertainment, Roman Reigns is the best thing on TV. No comparison. Roman Reigns isn't going to lose to anyone, especially being the fact that they already screwed the pooch and announced that Brock and Roman was going to happen at the Blood Money show in Saudi Arabia. Of course it's going to be for the title because a certain dictatorial asshole wants it to be for his nation because he is paying Vincent Kennedy McMahon billions of dollars to do shows over there. And I'm sorry, boys and girls, but money talks. And our bullshit walks. Sorry, Brian, but in terms of Roman, there isn't a single person right now in WWE I would say, yep, Roman's losing to that person. Roman's not even losing to Brock in a couple of weeks. I do not know who in the hell is taking the title off of Roman Reigns right now. He's too damn good. Acknowledge him.
In a twisted, sick, backwards way, that is my way of acknowledging him. I mean, you know, I again, like Isaac said before, eloquently stated, do I like it? No. Do I get it? Yeah. You know,
But,
I mean, it's just.
I went off on that rant on that particular rant because you immediately went to AEW and like Sammy Guevara beat Miro. Okay, that made perfect sense because it was it was the Grand Slam Rampage. Something big had to happen. A title had to change hands at that big ass of a week. Something had to happen. No, I'm sorry, that was at Rochester.
Yes, in Rochester.
Freaking Brody Lee's hometown. Something freaking had to happen. Something had to happen. There was no way in hell you could send that crowd home pissed off. You could send the Columbus crowd home pissed off for that pay-per-view because there's a better payoff. You couldn't send Rochester home with home pissed off with an AEW crowd because that shit was all about Brody. You got to know your audience, and in those particular instances, your audience, one audience mattered, another audience not really. We're glad you're here, guys, but we're not changing our plans because of you.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on that one. I do apologize for the whole oh my god, my favorites aren't winning. I apologize for that, but it was kind of a means to an end of my little tirade. So I apologize. I love you, buddy. Roses are red. Rhyming is hard. Yesterday, go Cubs. I kind of wrote something similar on his birthday card that he got yesterday.
You are truly the Jack Kerouac of our generation.
I would think of myself more along the lines of Dylan Thomas.
That works too.
Yeah.
Lord Tennyson, someone like that.
Oh no! Don't.
Okay. Well,
Jelly.
in other wrestling news, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just cutting him off right now because in other news, ladies and gentlemen, there was a draft.
All right, well, time out. At least let me acknowledge the fact. At least acknowledge the fact that I'm educated enough to know who the freaking lake poets are. I studied a crap ton of literature in college. So
and you're comparing yourself to them. Of course, I'm not surprised. You are the ego that ate Manhattan. Why should I be surprised anymore?
No, you should be surprised at that because I act like a dumbass on this show. Oh my God, Patrick actually knows British literature.
I'm not surprised.
I'm just surprised you know literature. Let's start there.
I am from Alabama, boys and girls.
That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, as Brian was guys, we got about 20 minutes to go. I'm shutting this crap down in 20 minutes. It's kickoff time.
We're live, pal.
We had a draft last night on Friday Night Saturday, the annual WWE draft, and there were some interesting names bantied about. So we're going to run through each round real quick. And then earlier today, it's Saturday, by the way. Earlier today, they announced a whole list of names that got drafted to either show. So round one, and no shocker here, SmackDown picked Roman. Raw picked Big E. Shocker there. SmackDown, here's a twist, took Charlotte. So Charlotte moves from Raw to SmackDown. In response, Raw moves Bianca to Raw. So as of spoiler alert, Becky's name was not mentioned at all last night or today. So as it stands, both women's champions are on SmackDown. I bet you $5. Bet you $5 either A, Becky loses the title Becky loses the title somewhere very soon to Bianca or someone like that, or Becky gets drafted. One of the two. More than likely, Becky's going to lose to Bianca or Sasha at Crown Jewel, and then either one of them will be on Raw. My smart money, Bianca wins, and then Charlotte and Bianca literally just exchange titles, just like the New Day and Usos did last year, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been
Right.
Street Profits. No, it was Street Profits and New Day.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah, correct.
moving right along, SmackDown moves Drew McIntyre over from Raw. Well, first off, round one. Any thoughts, surprises? I don't likes. I likes.
You want me to go first?
Any somebody.
Okay, let me go. Look, was I surprised that I wasn't surprised by what they had first round, except for Bianca going to Raw. And my only other surprise is the fact that both women's titles are on SmackDown right as of this moment. We know
Right.
that's going to change, but that's all I gotta say about that.
All right, Brian, anything on round one before we go to round two real quick?
Go to round two.
Round two, Drew goes from Raw to SmackDown. Raw selects RK Bro, so their tag champs are staying there. SmackDown then selects Kofi and Woods, breaking up the New Day yet again. Damn you! And then Raw selects WWE Hall of Famer, and in my opinion, the greatest wrestler of the last 15 years, the Rated R Superstar Edge. No, I'm not a mark. I got beef with this round, guys, and it's just one simple question. Why can't we have nice things? Why can't we freaking have the New Day? Damn it! Don't do this to us. Don't have Big E cash in on Lashley, and then we have the New Day together with Big E as the freaking champ, and then take Woods and Kofi and move them to SmackDown. Don't do this to me, man.
Unless, in their opinion, that ship has sailed about telling that story. I mean, New Day can pretty much get anything over they want to, whether it's ring gear or move sets or, the power of positivity and on and on and on.
Clearly, they want Big E to stand on his own, and deservedly so, and the man can do it. But here's me being a fan. Damn it. Why can't we have nice things?
Right.
That's just it. That's just me being a fan. I want my New Day. I literally, Sunday, I finally, after going to shows for so long, finally got to do the New Day chant. Because every time, when Brian and myself and our buddy Braylon went, no New Day. When my wife and I went before, 2 weeks before WrestleMania New Orleans 2, no New Day. I finally got to do the New Day Feel the Power thing, and son of a bitch, it just made me smile.
Yep.
My soul was beaming. And just the fact that I got to go, don't you dare be sour. Yeah, I loved it. My daughter looked at me like I was stupid, but whatever.
What else is new, right?
Exactly, right? She's 12. She thinks everything I do is stupid. I'm her stepdad. But I got that, and I'm like, all right, yay, cool. Damn it. Kind of how I feel about that. Do you guys have anything else to add before we move to round 3 so I can stop having an anxiety attack before my anxiety attack?
Don't be mad at me for me asking this question, but I think this is a legitimate question. Was that too high of a draft of a pick to draft Edge at?
No.
He's a Hall of Famer, no. And he's a good Hall of Famer.
Here's why. him going second round proves they got something planned.
Okay.
Him going that ahead. I'll take you back to the very first draft of this era. What did Raw do in the third round? They took a guy from NXT, and to quote Mick Foley, with an eye to the future, and they took Finn Balor. What did they do with Finn Balor right off the bat? Universal Championship.
Yes.
And then all that BS. But they had a plan with that. They got a plan with Edge. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's got gold written in there somewhere. Edge is going to end his career riding off into the freaking sunset. Maybe a little bit like a John Elway or a Jerome Bettis.
Okay.
Do you really have to mention those two jerks? Especially from Cleveland? Come on.
Well, hey, check your bias at the door on that. They won titles and retired, so there you go.
I don't want to hear.
You know what? Hey, call me when your pro team actually goes to a Super Bowl, okay? Brian's team went to a Super Bowl. I don't give a crap.
I don't want to hear. Remember where we're at. I don't want to hear John Elway's name. Period.
Okay, John Elway. Anyway, moving right along. Third round. SmackDown took Corbin and Riddick Moss.
Whatever.
Right. Raw takes the women's tag team champions, Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley.
No surprise.
No surprise there. We're gonna skip one. Raw picked Keith Bearcat Lee. I hated the name until I learned the reason behind it. Do you guys know the reason behind it?
No, please inform me.
The first influential African American wrestler was a guy whose name was like I can't remember the last name, but it was like Bearcat Jones or Bearcat something another.
I know who you're talking about. Right, exactly.
It's a throwback. It's a callback to that.
Okay.
That's the reason behind Bearcat. And I'm like, okay, I don't hate it now. But what I loved, SmackDown dialed up a little NXT action. And forgive me for singing it, but you can't say the name without doing it. SmackDown drafted the group collectively known as Hit Row. I lost my crap. I freaking love these guys. And in our pre-show, while Brian was dealing with internet issues, Isaac asked me, do you think they're going to have any better success than other NXT call-ups? And my quick answer was yes, because they can cut promos.
They've got charisma for days. They're all confident in the ring,
and they all can drop bars.
Yes.
Their gimmick of being a rap label ain't a gimmick. There is video very recently of Isaiah Swerve Scott getting pulled up on stage by Mega Ran.
Yep.
And Swerve freestyles. And damn. I'm like, holy crap. And then Top Dollar, also known as AJ Francis, has a couple of albums to his resume as well. He ain't no slouch. And I can't remember her actual name, but B-Fab. She don't suck either. And from my understanding, Ashanti Adonis actually has a DJ background.
Okay.
So everything kind of fits, and they all have charisma, and they can all work. Hit Row is going to be big. I love that call up. You guys have anything on round 3?
Give me the stuff that happened today, because in my mind there's really no shockers apart from putting both women's champions in the same
Right.
brand.
Well, we got to do round 4 real fast. Naomi staying on SmackDown. Raw took the Mysterios. SmackDown took Hardy. Raw called up Austin Theory. Hopefully he won't get sent back down this time.
Right.
And there were draft picks from Talking Smack. Here you go. Raw kept Nia Jax, kept John Morrison, kept Reggie, kept R-Truth, kept Drake. They kept T-Bar, Akira Tozawa, Doudrop. They brought over Zelina Vegas, Otis and Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, and Commander Aziz. SmackDown called up Aaliyah from NXT. They took Drew Gulak from Raw. They took Mace from Raw. Mansoor and Mustafa Ali came over from Raw, and they kept Tony Storm.
That seems to me like both shows understand you got to build out the mid card. And especially with Raw, I feel like that's what's been missing. Like Raw's been so top heavy. If it's not Big E and what he's doing, it's just there's nothing there. There's no substance.
All of that, two names stand out to me. Mace and T-Bar.
Which means bye-bye Mace, bye-bye T-Bar. Hello, Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt they'll go back to that. I think they'll probably stay Mace and T-Bar. But regardless of what their names are, doesn't change how they work. And the artist formerly known as Dominic Dijakovic,
You can go.
a freak. He
Agreed.
by himself is going to be fun to watch. If you want proof of how fun he is to watch any NXT match that he had with Keith Lee.
Those were amazing matches right there. That's why I'm putting my 2 cents. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna. Well, yeah, because T-Bar's on Raw. I was like, wait, no, he's on SmackDown, but no, Mace is Dio Madden, T-Bar is Dijakovic. So there you go. That's really all that stood out to me. I wouldn't be surprised for a jaw dropper or two on Monday. Primarily the Usos going to Raw. I would not be surprised, especially with that promo that backstage vignette you had with Roman, pretty much pissed off at Heyman, and then telling the Usos go to Raw with Heyman, and if you don't get drafted to SmackDown, leave Heyman for dead.
Right.
Something's going to come of that. And if you don't think it is, you haven't been watching wrestling at all, ever. Brian, I believe there was something that you wanted to say.
Yes. So you will notice now that this is the second year in a row on Wrestling with Egos that we have not really made a big deal out of the draft. 2 years ago, I got really excited. I'm like, hey guys, you know what we should do? We should do a mock draft, and we should do, and Patrick had graphics, and he had like tumbling beads behind the graphics, and he had like a list and stuff like that. I was dialing around the YouTubes the other night, and wouldn't you know it, Wrestle Talk, Ollie Davis moderated a mock draft between Denise Salcedo and Adam Blampier, where he had a Google sheet up on the screen, and he had like a red banner for Adam Blampier and a blue banner for Denise Salcedo. And it was funny because Adam gave him crap for not renaming the spreadsheet. He's like, at least rename the spreadsheet. Don't call it Untitled Spreadsheet, And they did a mock draft. And I'm like, oh, now you're borrowing Wrestling with Ego stuff. And I really should tweet at him and show him the episode.
Yeah, you totally should.
The worst they could do is ignore it, Yeah, we did it first, and we did better.
I will say this, and I haven't watched it, but I will say this just because of who you mentioned. Their episode was clearly better looking because they had Denise Salcedo.
Yes.
Yes.
Hollywood is not no slouch to look at.
Salcedo blows all three of our ugly asses out of the way. I mean,
Speak for yourself. I'm pretty.
please.
I'm prettier than you. That's all I gotta say.
The
But
only
it basically went how you
without glasses.
it basically went how you think it went. I mean, Denise like totally didn't care about titles. Like she let Adam draft all the champions, and then the comments are coming in about how Adam's going to have to like render all these titles irrelevant, and then cut payroll, and then Denise will just pick up all the free agents, and just ball busting and stuff like that. But I just thought it was funny. I'm like, oh, you're doing a mock draft? How au courant?
Well, I'm sure we did it better. And I'll tell you right now, if we were going to do a mock draft and I had the first overall pick, yeah, I'd take Roman. I would not.
I'd really have to give it some thought. I mean,
The commissioner would come up and say, Patrick Swafford is on the clock, and 1 second after, with 14 minutes and 59 seconds left to go with my pick, I'd be handing in my card. No brainer.
Are you surprised?
Hey, Isaac, it's like drafting John Elway.
Oh my God. Are you guys
So
surprised?
Punch through the camera, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm gonna say about that. End the story. Go.
One more question about the draft before we tie a ribbon on this and ease on up out of here. Are you surprised that Lesnar declared himself a free agent, or is that the spectacle? The unpredictability and all that.
Catchphrase time. In a word, no.
Okay.
In 2 words, hell.
No.
Now, one thing I will say, and I'm happy, as much as I've bemoaned Brock Lesnar on this show over the 3 years we've been doing it and the 100+ episodes we've been doing it.
1-0.
There you go. He's starting to talk for himself now, and I'm actually happy to see that. I know it's in small bursts.
Good.
Yeah, and I wonder if, and I don't know what the treatment is, but I wonder if it's, him wanting to do it for himself, or Paul, because him and Paul are still working together behind the scenes, Paul encouraging him, saying, you can do this. I know for all these years you never said a word, and I was always, but I think you can do this in small, quick bursts.
I'll keep this quick.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar always been able to do it. He just hasn't had to.
Right.
Because he's had Paul. He's learned enough. Now, granted, he can't give you a pipe bomb like CM Punk can, or give you a great promo like Cena or Roman or Edge or Rollins or Austin or Rock or anybody or Flair or anybody like that. But you keep it short. You kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. And yes, Brock can give you gold in the box of 60 seconds. And he did last night on SmackDown. I'd like to thank my good friend Paul Heyman for allowing me to be a free agent. That means that Brock Lesnar can do whatever Brock Lesnar wants. Drops the mic, walks off, scene. Yeah. Short, simple, to the point, cut, print, kill the pig.
Yep.
I loved it. And I like what they're doing with him. So that's my take as we're hearing the music go. As we're easing up on out of here, gentlemen, any final thoughts?
The next time we get together, you both still owe homework. I know we're not going to have time to get to it tonight, but we still wanted to dissect our favorite CM Punk moment and favorite CM Punk match, not stipulating the pipe bomb and not the Money in the Bank match from Chicago. So I'd still like to tie a ribbon on that at some point.
Got all about that.
I understand. It's fine.
Well,
Okay, I got 2 things real quick.
all right.
1, congratulations to Doudrop for getting married. 2, congratulations to Ronda Rousey for having her baby.
Yeah. Very Hawaiian name that we're not going to try and pronounce. But
We ain't going there. I just said congratulations on the child. That's it. I ain't going there.
Yeah. That's going to do it because we're short on time and kickoff is imminent. Real quick shout out to two people that I love very much. Chris Lemke, Drew Causey. They're both LSU fans. I love them dearly. Tonight I hate them. As we get out of here, thank you guys so much for watching Wrestling with Egos. For Brian, for Isaac, for the disembodied voice of RJ and everybody associated with the show. I'm Patrick. This has been Wrestling with Egos. And this is why we love wrestling. And this is why I'm going to go have a connection fit.
Nix rolls to his right, wants to throw. In some trouble. Eludes one man. Now floats it out. He has a man open. Looks downfield. Still on his feet. Still on his feet to the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown Auburn! Nix from the left hash in the shotgun. There's the snap. Looks left. Still looking. Rolling. In some trouble. Rolls back to the Auburn sideline. Up the sideline. Looks and he throws. It is complete to the LSU 39-yard line.
And he helps win this game.
He takes a knee with 25 seconds to go. Doesn't look like LSU is going to stop the clock. Auburn begins its celebration for the first time since 1999. For the first time in this century, Auburn comes to Baton Rouge with first-year head coach Brian Harsin, and the Tigers win. Auburn 24, LSU 19. War Eagle.